everyone, it's Vicki from Minerva and welcome to our Fabric Masterclass series. So this video series is designed to complement the Minerva Fabric Guide, which is the ultimate reference guide to learn all about fabrics, especially for dressmaking. So the guide covers everything from covering the fundamental properties of fabrics through to all about different fibres and of course, what you can make with different types of fabric and what they're suited for. And then in the last chapter or section of the guide, we actually cover 70 of the most popular base cloths. And with that, you also get included a pack of physical fabric swatches as well. So that as you work through the guide, you can get hands-on learning. So if you are interested in purchasing a copy of the Minerva Fabric Guide, we do have them in stock now at Minerva and we can ship them out worldwide. So, wherever you're watching us from, you can get your hands on a copy of the guide. So in this masterclass video series, myself and Jo, who you'll probably know from the channel, we have filmed 2 videos to go with each of the 70 base cloths that we feature in the fabric guide, and we're going to be working through those alphabetically. So in today's videos, I'm going to be taking a deep dive into denim fabric, and we're going to take a look at some of the denims that we carry here at Minerva, and I've got lots and lots of samples to show you. And then, we'll have a look at the differences between them, because there's quite subtle differences between, all the different denims that we stock. And then I've also got a pile of patterns to share with you, to give you some inspiration and ideas on what you can sew with denim. And specifically, I'm going to be chatting about what sort of weight denim you would want for different styles of patterns, just to hopefully help you on picking the right sort of denim for your project. And then in Jo's video that's coming up later today, so she's going to be doing a deep dive into denim, but from a how to sew point of view. So she's going to be sharing, lots of hints and tips and, lots of advice, as Jo's videos are always jam-packed full with. And she's also going to be sharing some community maker inspiration from the Minerva website as well. So you can take a look at what other people in the Minerva community have been sewing in denim, and, hopefully it'll just give you even more inspiration. So let's get stuck in. So, like I mentioned in the Minerva Fabric Guide, in the last section of the guide, we cover 70 of the most popular base cloths, and each base cloth gets its own 2-page spread. So this is the one all about denim. So let me hold a sample of denim out for you whilst we're sort of chatting about what denim is basically. So we've got the sample to be having a look at. But denim is a woven fabric. I would say it's a very popular, well-known fabric. I think most people, whether they're a sewer or not, would know what denim fabric is, because I think probably most people would own a pair of denim jeans or a denim item in the wardrobe, whether that's made by them or ready to wear. So denim is most commonly made from 100% cotton fibres. But you can find denim blended, with other fibres. So, for example, polyester. You can also, sometimes find them in tencel fibres. But more often than not, they are a cotton or a cotton blend. And you can also find them blended with like elastane or a spandex lycra, which gives them stretch and recovery as well. So yeah, and in the samples that I've pulled out today, I've got a series of non-stretch denims to share with you and some stretch denims again. So we'll kind of look at the 2 categories. So yeah, I would definitely say denim is one of the world's most iconic fabrics. Denim is a coarse fabric and it's in the twill family, so it has that twill weave, and it's often distinguished by its indigo blue colour. That's the traditional, typical kind of colour and look that you think of when you think of denim, isn't it? So in the actual construction of denim, so it consists of 2 yarns that are woven together. So the weft yarn that runs across, that is threaded over and under the warp yarn that runs downwards. So denim is available, like I say, in a range of colours, but like I said, the most common is indigo. So in the case of an indigo denim, the warp thread is dyed while the weft thread is left light. So this thread is dyed to the indigo blue colour and this thread is left white. And what that does as a result is that the warp thread, or the warped faced twill weaving, one side of the fabric is dominated by the colour, so the indigo blue, and the other is dominated by the white thread. So let's take this one as an example. So this is the face of the fabric, the right side of the fabric, and you can see, you know, it's this beautiful indigo blue colour, and when you look up close you can see little specks of the white coming through. When you flip it to the reverse, you can see just how much lighter in colour the reverse is. So on this side it's predominantly the white thread that you can see with little bits of the blue thread coming through. So that's why on denim, you know, you get this sort of contrast of colour between the two sides. And you know, on certain samples that I'll show you there's a much higher contrast, and in others not so much. So for example, on a fabric that has more white coming through on this side, there will equally be more of the colour coming through on the reverse. So that in those cases the contrast wouldn't be as steep. But on some of them the colour can be, say, very intense and strong on this side, but actually on the reverse, you know, that means there's a lot of white there. So, you know, the contrast is much higher in those cases. And I think it's that particular weave which makes it different to a chambray. So like this first example that I've got here is a very lightweight denim, and you could be forgiven for thinking it was a chambray, but that twill weave and how that white and, you know, coloured thread is woven is specifically what makes it a denim. And obviously as we get into the heavier denims, it's more obviously a denim then as opposed to a lighter weight chambray. And just one other thing I wanted to mention with denim, which is very, very common, is that there's always likely, you know, denim is always likely to break in. That's the sort of the technical term, but by what we mean by that is it's going to fade in colour and it is going to soften over time. And if you ever, you know, if you buy a ready to wear, you know, say denim jacket, a pair of jeans, you'll often find that, you know, with washing, constant washing and wearing, those items will just get softer over time, and often the colour will fade to some extent. Now in ready to wear, you know, they will have pre-treated that fabric so that you're not going to lose lots of colour. But when you're making something yourself and, you know, you're buying you know, denim off the bolt, or in some cases raw denim, you know, there is the potential for it to lose some colour. And that's not, you know, a flaw or a fault in the fabric, it's just the nature of denim and how it's made. And especially when we're looking at the indigo blue colour, especially in particular. So yeah, so what we always recommend with denim is always to pre-wash. I mean, we recommend to pre-wash any fabric anyway, which we talk about in the fabric guide in more detail earlier on. But with denim, personally, you know, I would even go as far as pre-washing it twice, because what that does is it sort of guarantees that you're going to have removed any of that excess colour, so that you know that the fabric that comes out after that second wash is how it's going to be, you know, sort of long term going forward. But also it will really help soften the fabric as well. And yes, it will still soften more over time, but after its first two washes, you know, you've got a lot of the softness there then in the fabric. And it just means that, you know, the fabric as you're handling it, as you're sewing it, will be very similar to, it will be just like the garment will be long term. So, you know, you get a better sense of how the garment's gonna turn out as you're actually sewing the project. So to me, it's definitely worth at least one, if not two, pre-washes on a denim fabric. So in the fabric guide, we do also talk about weight, opacity, drape, stretch, more about washing instructions, some the recommended needle you would use, some general sewing tips. But we also talk about what you can make with denim, which is obviously what my video is focused on today. So you can make a whole host of garments out of denim. It is such a versatile fabric, but you know, the different weights are definitely suited to different kind of styles. So put generally, you know, for lighter weight denims you would think things like shirts, dresses, skirts, summery trousers, jumpsuits, shorts, that sort of thing. For thicker denims we're thinking coats, jackets, jeans, dungarees, overalls, pinafores, shorts and skirts. And can also be really popular for bag making and home accessories, that sort of thing. So yeah, I think that's really what I want to focus on a lot in today's video, the difference between the different sort of weights of denims and then what they are suited to making. So let's jump in and have a look at the fabric samples I've got. I've got quite a lot to share with you in today's video because I really wanted to go into detail about, you know, the different sorts of denims, because I appreciate completely that, you know, you look at the denims on the Minerva website and there's so much choice, it can be overwhelming, and you know, you can be left unsure as to what's going to be best for your project. So hopefully I can help in this video today by kind of, you know, going through all the different ones and, you know, what they are suited to making. And then after that I've got, like I say, a stack of patterns to go through. So yeah, we're going to have some specific pattern suggestions on with those as well. So how I've sort of organised these samples to go through with you, I've split them into two categories. So we've got non-stretch denims and stretch denims, and in each of those categories I've organised them so that we're working through from the lightest weight through to the heaviest weight. So hopefully that'll just kind of help as we're working our way through them and just make it sort of a bit more yeah, logical and easy to kind of digest. So the first one I've got here, so we're going to start with the non-stretch denims first, and this is the lightest weight non-stretch denim that we do here at Minerva. So this one is our Minerva core range, 125 GSM washed denim. It comes in 4 colours, so you get different shades of blue, and we also have like a charcoaly grey colour, and I think that's the charcoal grey come black colourways are always described as black by the fabric suppliers, and that's because the coloured thread that has gone into them is black. So they're technically correct. However, because of the white that's woven in the other direction, the more white that shows on the face of the fabric, the lighter the overall colour will appear. So that's why in most cases you don't get a true black. In fact, you can't ever really get a true black with denim unless it's been dyed over the top, which is quite uncommon to find, because generally people that want denim want it to look like a denim. You know, if you just wanted a plain black, then you know you could just buy a cotton twill fabric. That would be the equivalent. Whereas denim is all about that white weft thread that's been woven in. So yeah, that's why you often find sometimes if denims are described as black, they can actually just be a very dark grey, and like I said, the amount of white that shows through on the front determines just how light or dark that grey colour will be. So like I said, so this one comes in the blues and then the charcoal come black colour. It's 125 grams per square metre, and that puts it in our light to medium weight category here at Minerva. It's 100% cotton and approximately 145 centimetres or 57 inches wide. So this is you can see when I'm holding it, you can actually go as far as, well, maybe not to say that this is a drapey fabric. I won't say any denim is drapey, but it does have a lightness and a softness that gives it a lot of movement, which compared to some of the heavier ones we're going to come to, it's a very different handle just because it is so lightweight. It's beautifully soft. I mean, you can see as I sort of crumple that up in my hands, just how much sort of how malleable this fabric is, how fluid it is, how soft it is. It's got a beautiful handle, and it absolutely looks like a denim, but then when you feel it, obviously it's much lighter than your typical kind of denim. So the sorts of things you can make with this, like I think this is perfect for making a shirt from. A summery shirt dress. You could make some cute little summer shorts, a summery lightweight jumpsuit, tops. You wouldn't, I would say, I think this is too light to make jeans out of. If you made trousers, then they're going to feel more like summery trousers, not denim jeans. It's too light to make a jacket or a coat or anything like that from, too light for dungarees. But for shirts and more summery lightweight items, this is absolutely perfect. And I think it's also lovely for children's clothes, these lighter weight denims as well, because, lovely for the sort of the hotter summer months. And just the fact that it's nice and soft as well, it's not too stiff and rigid for tiny bodies. So that's the first one. Next up we have, so this is another Minerva core range, and this is our 130 grams per square, 130 GSM soft wash denim. So this one comes in 3 colours, so in 3 different shades of blue. So with this one, it's 130 grams per square metre, so just a touch heavier than the last one, and it's still in our light to medium weight category. Again, it's 100% cotton, and it's approximately 146 centimetres or 57 inches wide. So with this one, I would say the colour on the front, on the face of the fabric, maybe has a little bit less white showing than on the previous fabric. So overall, it's a slightly more intense colour. And when you look on the back of the fabric, can you see just how strong a contrast that has? So there's more white on the back. So yeah, it just has a slightly different look, this fabric. I would say the twill weave is maybe ever so slightly more prominent. So yeah, it is very similar, just a touch heavier and, you know, just a slightly different weave. But it's suitable for all the same things that the last one was, you know, shirts, dresses, tops, summery shorts, all those sort of lighter, you know, weight projects, not for things like coats, jackets, dungarees, denim jeans, that sort of thing. But yeah, both really equally soft and yeah, beautiful pure cotton lightweight denims. Now the next fabric we're coming to, so now we're looking at medium weight denims. So we've gone from light to medium, we're now on to medium weight. So this one is our Minerva core range 200 GSM washed cotton denim. This one comes in 4 colours as well, so this is, you know, different shades of blue and then the grey come black colour. This one is 100% cotton as well. It's approximately 150 centimetres or 59 inches wide, and it is 200 grams per square metre, which puts it into our medium weight category. Now, so this one is a washed denim, just the same as the last two. And what that basically means is it's gone through an extra sort of treatment when it's being made that adds to the softness of the denim. So it doesn't mean, just because it says it's washed, it doesn't mean you then don't need to pre-wash it. You still need to pre-wash. What that washed term means technically is that it's had this extra treatment that makes it softer. So some of the ones we're going to come to, you know, are not washed and haven't had that treatment, and you can tell they have a more rigid, you know, less soft feel to them. So the first two that I've showed you, they were both washed denims as well. So with that soft treatment and the lightness of those, you know, it makes those super soft. With this one, you know, it's a considerably, you know, it's a heavier denim, but because it's had that wash treatment, it's still very soft. And you can see when I kind of crunch that up in my hands, you know, just how much it kind of folds on itself. You know, it's very, very, like I said, very, very soft, and you can tell it's had that wash treatment. And with this one, so the weight of this one, oh, and actually what's quite interesting with this is you can definitely see quite a bit of the white coming through on the front of this fabric. And I would say the contrast, you know, there is obviously a contrast still there, but it's not maybe quite as stark a contrast as some of the others will come to. And I do think actually with denims as well, that's a good tip to mention. You know, you can use either side of the fabric as the right side. You know, if you prefer the lighter colour on the back, there is nothing stopping you using that as the correct side. But also as well, you could use both sides of the denim in the same garment if you wanted some contrast details, and it can, yeah, create a really cool look. I think you often see it in like upcycled and you know, refashioned denim items where people will use different sides of the denim, and it can just create a very, yeah, designer unique kind of feel. So with this one, yeah, so the 200 grams, so the weight we're looking at here, so you could make shirts from this, but they're going to feel a heavier shirt. You could certainly make dresses out of it. You could make denim jeans, but they are going to feel a lighter pair of jeans, you know, a much more summery pair. So not like a traditional pair of, you know, what you would typically think of as a pair of denim jeans. But there would be nothing to stop you making jeans out of these if you wanted a lighter pair. When we start going to the realms of pinafores, dungarees, jackets. Again, you could use this denim, but it's just going to give you a slightly lighter weight feel, you know, a lighter weight pair of dungarees, a lighter weight jacket. But it does, you know, this kind of weight, it is a very versatile fabric. And can be used for lots. It's just to bear in mind that, you know, it would make a heavier feeling shirt or a lighter feeling jacket. But yeah, it's a really lovely fabric, that one. Really good versatile weight, and I just love the softness with that washed finish. So the next one I've got, now this one is our Minerva Core range 270 GSM polycotton denim. So this one again comes in 4 colours, so you've got your different shades of blue and your charcoal come black. This one is approximately 150 centimetres or 59 inches wide. It's 270 grams per square metre. So now, you know, we've had our light to medium denims, we've had our medium denim, and now we're in the medium to heavyweight category, which I would say most typical denims fall into the medium to heavyweight category. The light to medium ones are very light for denim. The medium is actually still quite light for denim, and then anything that would fall in our heavyweight category is super heavy, which I do have one of those to show you later, but the vast majority fall into this medium to heavyweight, which is what this one is. Now the thing that makes this one a little bit different as well is that it's actually a cotton and polyester blend. So it's 70% cotton and 30% polyester. So it is predominantly cotton, and if you just felt that fabric, you know, you could be forgiven for thinking that was 100% cotton. And I do think this is a particularly lovely denim. It has a really lovely kind of almost brushed finish to it. It's got a very smooth, yeah, very slightly brushed finish. It feels really lovely to handle. And with this one, this is a very good example of where there is very little contrast between the two. So there's a lot of white coming through on the face, and then a lot of the colour coming through on the reverse of the fabric. So you can just see there, can't you, just how much less of a contrast there is. And really what makes this fabric a little bit different is that polyester content. Now you notice I didn't say this was a washed denim, however it still has a very soft feel. Like, look when I handle that, just how easily that kind of folds up. And for, you know, for a medium to heavyweight fabric, that has a lot of softness to it. You know, other denims of this kind of weight will be a lot more sort of stiff and rigid. And where that comes from, so it's obviously not from the washed treatment, but it's actually from that polyester content that's been added to the fabric. And it just gives it a little bit of softness. You know, cotton on its own is quite a stiff, structured fabric, unless it's had some softening sort of treatment on it, like the previous denims we've looked at. So the addition of the polycotton just gives it a more soft handle. And what it also does is it actually makes the fabric even more durable. I mean, denim is it's a durable fabric anyway, but with the addition of the polyester, it's even more durable, you know, for its weight category. So with this one, I'd say, you know, the medium to heavyweight category is what you would typically think of for a pair of denim jeans. So not ridiculously heavy, but heavy enough to feel like a proper pair of jeans, and that's what you would get with this kind of weight. So obviously you can make jeans from it, but you can also make things like jackets, lighter weight coats, you could make dungarees, pinafores, overalls, shorts. You could still make dresses in it, but it's going to have a heavier feel to it. So you wouldn't want something, for example, with lots of ruffles or gathers or full, not too much fullness. You would want something, maybe like a shirt dress. That would be ideal for this. Something that's, suits a fabric with a bit more structure and body. So yeah, a really lovely fabric, that one. Just a little bit different, like I say, with that brushed finish, the polyester content, and yeah, just the weave on that one. It gives it it's a really, really lovely one, that one, if you want a heavier, start going into the heavier denims. Now the next one I've got, so this is our Minerva Core range 280 GSM rigid denim. So this one is 100% cotton. It's approximately 150 centimetres or 59 inches wide. It just comes in two colours, this one, so classic indigo, and then, well, the black that, you know, is more of a charcoal grey. And yeah, this one is 280 grams per square metre, which puts it again in our medium to heavyweight category. So it's a little bit heavier than the last one. So there's not huge amounts difference in the weight, but it does have a different feel to it. So this one, we're now back to 100% cottons. And this one, you know, so it doesn't have the polyester in there and it doesn't have the soft wash treatment. So this denim definitely has a more structured finish. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still lovely and soft, you know, it still feels very nice, but it doesn't have the same level of sort of, you know, when I crush it up in my hands, it feels more, slightly more stiff and more structured with more body, and that can really come in handy depending on the, you know, the sort of style of garment you want to make. So for traditional typical denim jeans, this is absolutely perfect. A denim jacket, fabulous in this, but again, also things like overalls, dungarees, you know, shorts, things like bag making. This at the medium to heavy kind of weight, we're getting into the realms of bag making too. So yeah, very, very versatile for your more heavier weight garments. You know, you wouldn't want to make like a shirt in this is going to feel more like a jacket than a shirt because of the weight. If you were making, you know, like more of a summery top with maybe, you know, some ruffle details or something, this would just be too heavy and too sort of stiff and structured for that. So yeah, it's one of those that it just depends on the style you're making as to what kind of denim that you want. And what I also thought was interesting with this one, to demonstrate this colour contrast between the two sides and how the weft white thread affects it. So this one is classed as black by the supplier, but it's definitely not a true solid black. You know, you can see the white coming through. On this sample, there's not much of the white coming through, so it's quite a dark grey. But on the reverse, you can see there's lots of white, and just look at the contrast between those two sides. So there's a very high contrast on this one, which is what makes the front particularly dark. The next sample I've got to share with you, so this is another that, you know, the supplier would class as black, but we would name, you know, as charcoal or grey. And with this one, there's a lot more white on the front. So the overall colour is lighter. And if you look on the reverse, there's more of the dark coming through on the reverse. So the contrast isn't quite as high. So yeah, I just thought it would be quite interesting to sort of show you those two together and just how the amount of white coming through in that weft white thread, you know, changes the appearance of the denim on the front. So with this one, this is another Minerva Core range, and this one comes in 5 colourways. So you've got 4 different shades of blue on this one and the charcoal grey colour. Now this one is named, so it's our Minerva Core range 290 GSM soft wash denim. So it's made from 100% cotton. It's approximately 145 centimetres or 57 inches wide, and it is 290 grams per square metre. So again, that puts it in our medium to heavyweight category, and it's just a little bit heavier than the last one we looked at. So again, you know, we keep going up a little bit in weight. Now, what the main difference is with this one, so like I say, it's a little bit heavier than the last. It's also made from 100% cotton, but this one has had the soft wash treatment on it. And I do think with this one particularly, this one is one of those that when you wash, you give it your 1 or 2 pre-washes, you'll notice with this particular fabric especially that it really does soften after washing. Washing and handling anyway. So yeah, it's one of those that will really sort of mould to your body and just have that kind of classic lived in denim sort of feel, you know, after a few washes and wear. It's absolutely beautiful. But yeah, you can see hopefully from when I handle it here, you know, just how that kind of folds on itself. And for you know, a fabric that's 290 GSM, you know, it's a decent weight fabric that, you know, for it to still have that softness, it's just beautiful. And yeah, it just gives you lots of different options. So again, similar to the last fabric, you know, it's suitable for more heavier weight garments, so jeans, denim jackets, you know, sort of workwear jackets, coats, even things like trench coats, dungarees, jumpsuits, overalls, pinafores, all that sort of thing. But, you know, the difference between this and the last one is this one is definitely going to have a softer feel to it. So, you know, that may or may not, you can choose basically which sort of you want. Do you want something a little bit more stiff and structured, or do you want something with a bit more softness? I often think the ones with more softness can be more comfortable to wear. And for that reason as well, they are a good choice for children's clothing as well. But yeah, it just depends, you know, what look you want from it. So the next fabric I've got now, this one is the heaviest weight in our medium to heavyweight category. So this one is our Minerva Core range, 330 GSM heavy rigid denim. So it's 100% cotton. It comes in 4 colourways, so 3 different shades of blue and then a charcoal and black colour. It's approximately 145 centimetres or 57 inches wide, and yeah, it's 330 grams per square metre. So with this one, it's quite a jump. You know, it's definitely heavier than the, you know, a decent amount heavier than the last one we looked at. And it's a really lovely denim, this one. So for such a heavy denim, again, because it's had that, with this one, it's such a heavy denim, and it is what's classed as a heavy rigid denim. So like the one, you know, not the last one, but the one before, that was our rigid denim. This is our heavy rigid denim. So you can see, you know, it's still, like I say, it's got a lovely soft finish to it. It's a beautiful quality fabric. But it just doesn't have that soft wash treatment, so it feels like it has more body to it, a little bit more crispness, and just a little bit more structure. And what I do love about this one, the weave on it is particularly lovely. There's a lot of the colour is intense on the right side of the fabric. And again, if we flip that to the reverse, you can see just what a high contrast that has. So a lot of the colour is predominantly on the front of the fabric with this one. And it just has a really lovely twill weave, this one. I think it's got quite, like I said, there's not as much white on the front, but the white that's there has this beautiful kind of almost speckled kind of look. Yeah, it's a really lovely texture. So for this one, obviously classic denim jeans, denim jackets, overalls, dungarees, coats, jackets, all that sort of thing. You know, before too heavy to make, you know, a shirt from, or, you know, a lighter weight summer garment. This is a proper, you know, what you think of as denim. And then the last one I've got in our non-stretch denim category. So this one is our Minerva Core range 500 GSM heavy rigid denim. So this one just comes in the one colour, just in the indigo classic blue. It's approximately 150 centimetres or 59 inches wide. It's 100% cotton, and as the title suggests, so it's 500 grams per square metre, and that firmly puts it in our heavyweight category. And as I unfold this, you'll see just how sort of heavy and structured it is. There, I mean, it can practically, you know, kind of stand up on its own, this fabric. You know, it's just so heavy and durable. So yeah, I mean, obviously it's the weight that's the main difference with this fabric. You know, we've gone up to a whopping 500 grams. For lots of dressmaking projects, I think this fabric is too heavy. Like for me, you could make jeans in it. Like if you wanted a workwear pair of jeans that are super, super durable and heavy, and you know, will really sort of test the, you know, stand the test of time in terms of, you know, wear and tear on them, you know, it could be a good option. But for a general everyday pair of jeans, I think personally for me, would be too heavy, and it's probably too heavy for most people. But where it does come in, you know, if you're making a jacket or a coat pattern and you want a, you know, a proper kind of heavy sort of coat, this is fabulous. It's also amazing in bag making. You know, you can make some really kind of, you know, heavy, durable, you know, bags from it. It's also good for other accessories, homeware projects. You know, it's very popular for things like cushions and covering chairs and things like that even. But also as well, you know, if you are making dungarees or, you know, a pinafore, and if you just particularly want a very heavy denim, then this is what will come in. But I would say it is, you know, it's less common to make dressmaking, you know, items of clothing from something this heavy, unless you particularly want, you know, a really heavy denim. The other thing with this denim is that it is very colour intense. So the indigo is very strong on the front with just a little bit of the white coming through, and you'll see just how strong that contrast is on the back. You know, so it's mainly white on the back with just a little bit of the denim. So yeah, it's probably one of the strongest contrasts we've seen, that one. So yes, the colour is very intense on the front. So that's all the non-stretch denims I've got to share with you. So let's move on to the stretch denims. So I'll just move these out of the way first, just to give us some space. So next, let's go on to our stretch denims. So with stretch denims, what you'll commonly find is that there is lots of choice in stretch denim, but you don't often find stretch denims in like the heavyweight category or the very light to medium weight category. It's not to say you won't find them, but they're far less common. So the ones we're going to look at today are we have a medium weight one, and then more in the medium to heavyweight category. And that's just often where you'll find the stretch denims more commonly. And you know, they are the weights that are most popular in denims as well. So with this first one, here we go. This is a lovely base cloth, this one. So this is our Minerva Core range, 190 GSM stretch soft denim. So this is, it comes in 3 colourways, there's 3 different shades of blue. It's 190 grams per square metre, and that puts it into our medium weight category. It's approximately 145 centimetres or 57 inches wide, and the blend on this one, so this one is 62% cotton, 35% polyester and 3% elastane. Now the elastane gives it 15% stretch on the width, so you can see, you know, just a decent amount of stretch there on the width. Nothing like as stretchy as a knit fabric, you know, remember this is a stretch woven, and none down the length. And that's very common for denim, where you'll find stretch across the width. So it's just a 2-way stretch, and there's nothing down the length, so it's not a 4-way stretch. Again, stretch and stretch percentages is also something that we cover in the fabric guide in detail. So with this one, you know, this isn't a washed denim again, you know, so it doesn't have that treatment. However, because of that polyester content, it is a very soft denim. So it has that softness to it. And similarly to the denim we looked at in the non-stretch denims that have polyester in it, this has a similar feel. It's a slightly brushed finish to the surface, and it just gives it a really lovely soft handle. And with this one, I mean, the weight of this does make it a very versatile fabric, similar to the medium weight one we looked at in the non-stretch denims. So it's definitely light enough to make a shirt from it, a top, you know, skirts, dresses, that sort of thing. But you could also make a lightweight jacket, or you know, you could make pinafores, dungarees, but just bear in mind that it is going to give you a lighter weight feel than some of the more medium to heavyweight denims that we're coming to soon. So yeah, it's the lightest weight stretch denim that we have. And another thing that's interesting with this denim is there's very little contrast. So on the face of the denim, there's very little of the white that comes through. And on the back of the denim, can you see just how little contrast there is in that one? I'd say this fabric is probably the one with the least contrast out of everything we're looking at. So there's actually quite a bit of the blue that comes through on the back. So yeah, it's just, you know, a slightly different take on denim, slightly less of the fleck, but you still get that denim feel from it. Yeah, really lovely, versatile, nice and easy to sew fabric, that one. And that, you know, that 15% stretch just gives you a comfort stretch. So, you know, it's not, you wouldn't be able to treat it like a knit fabric, like a jersey or something. You would still treat it like a woven fabric, but what that bit of stretch means is that, you know, for very fitted garments, perhaps like skinny jeans, you know, you would be able to get them on, and, you know, they would stretch a little bit to get the garment on, and then the ping back, the recovery means that they'll then, you know, sit very fitted to you. And it also just means in lots of styles that, you know, even if you use a pattern that doesn't require a stretch denim, by using a stretch denim, it just gives you that little bit more movement and a little bit more comfort when you're wearing them. So yeah, I'm a big fan of a stretch woven fabric anyway, and especially in denim, because I just love the extra sort of comfort that they bring when you're wearing the finished garment. Now the next one I've got, so this is the second one in our medium weight category. So with 2 medium weights, and then we're going on to medium to heavyweight after this. So this one is our Minerva Core Range 220 GSM stretch washed denim. So this one is 220 grams per square metre, which puts it in our medium weight category. It's approximately 140 centimetres or 55 inches wide. This one comes in 4 colours. So this one actually comes in a grey colour, so a true grey as opposed to the black ones, and different shades of blue. And this one is made from a blend of 65% cotton, 33% polyester and 2% elastane. And it has a stretch of approximately 10% across the width and none down the length again. So with this one, we've gone up in weight by, you know, a reasonable amount. But again, because it has that polyester content, and again, you would very much be forgiven for thinking that was a cotton, pure cotton fabric, because it is predominantly cotton. But that little addition of the polyester and the fact that this one has had the wash treatment to it mean that this is super, super soft. I mean, for the weight of the fabric, you know, I know it's only in the medium weight category, but it's still a decent weight. To say how much that sort of crumples and softens is just, yeah, it's a very, very beautifully soft denim. And another thing that's a little bit different about this one is its weave. So it still has, you know, the typical traditional denim weave. And I would say the colour is quite prominent on the face. So it does have, you know, a good contrast between the two. But the other thing that this one has is a little bit of a slub texture in the surface, which if you're somebody like me that just loves a textured fabric, especially when we're looking at plain fabrics, you know, just to give it an extra something, you know, something a little bit special, then this one could definitely be for you. Because yeah, that extra sort of slub that works through, it just gives it a very subtle, but you know, it's a very subtle texture, but it's there, you know, and it just, yeah, I think it's a really, really lovely one, that one. Great, again, you know, we're starting to get into the realms of where you could make denim jeans from this. They're just going to feel like a lighter pair of jeans. You know, you could make jackets, dungarees, pinafores, overalls, all those sort of things, but they're not going to feel very, very heavy. For shirts and things like that, I think we're maybe getting a little bit too heavy for shirts now, unless you want a shirt that feels heavier, more venturing into a jacket. So yeah, it's a really lovely that one. I just really love the softness and the texture of that one. Now the next fabric we've got, now this one is definitely a personal favourite of mine. So this one is our Minerva Core Range 280 GSM stretch washed denim. Now this one comes in loads of colourways, and you can see I've picked out the really cool red colour to share with you today. But it comes in, you know, your classic blues, charcoal, but a whole of the range of colours as well. Like we've got a khaki green, there's a cream colour, a burgundy, like loads of colours, and they're just gorgeous. Now with this one, so this one is 280 grams per square metre, so that puts it into our medium to heavyweight category. And again, we've gone up, you know, a reasonable amount in weight now since the last one. This one is made from a blend of 48% cotton, 48% polyester and 4% elastane. It's approximately 140 centimetres or 55 inches wide. And again, this one has 10% stretch on the width and 0 down the length. So with this one, you know, we're now in the realms of, this feels like a proper sort of typical weight of denim, you know, what you would think of when you think of denim jeans. But because of its that added polyester content, and because of the washed treatment, it's still beautifully soft. And you can see, you know, just how that crumples when I handle it. So again, that to me, you know, it makes it a very versatile denim. So yes, you can make denim jeans out of this. You can make jean jackets, pinafores, dungarees, all that, you know, all different styles of jacket. But you can also make dresses from this. We actually ran some kits recently of the really popular McCall's 8553 dress, the one that's been everywhere this year, and it has the zip up detail on the bodice. And yeah, you know, you could make that in a lighter denim, but absolutely in a heavier one like this, it just creates a fabulous shape for that dress. You know, and it just gives it, you know, more durability, and it kind of feels like a proper denim dress then, if you know what I mean. And we also use this same denim in our kits for some jean jackets as well. So, you know, it just kind of shows it's a really great denim for lots and lots of different things. It's really versatile. And the added polyester as well, you know, it does give it extra durability as well. So it's a very soft, beautiful quality, lovely to sew and handle and wear fabric, but it's also practical as well. And again, you know, you can see on the reverse of this, obviously it's quite intense in colour, but you can see the white through it. You know, even though it's red, it still looks like denim. And then on the reverse, you know, you can see it's got a good contrast on that fabric. So yeah, even though they're coloured, they still very much feel like a denim rather than a, you know, like a plain cotton twill, for example, that's been dyed. That's that one. Now the next one we've got, so we're going up in weight again with this one. So this is our Minerva Core range 290 GSM stretch washed denim. So this one comes in 4 colours, so different shades of blue and grey. It is approximately 130 centimetres or 51 inches wide. It's 290 grams per square metre, so that again puts it in our medium to heavyweight category. But we're just talking a little bit heavier than the last one. And with this one, so this one is made from 65% cotton, 32% polyester and 3% elastane. So it's got less polyester in it, and I think because of that, you know, it's still got the washed treatment like the last one, but because there's less polyester in it, you know, it feels slightly more rigid, so it's not quite as soft and sort of malleable, and and also because it's heavier as well. So both of those factors bring it to a denim that's got a little bit more structure and body to it. This is another one that is very intense in colour on the front. So I'd say more intense in colour than the last denim we looked at. You know, there's less white coming through. And on the reverse, you know, you can see that's a very big contrast on this one. So hence why the colour is so intense on the front. It does have a lovely feel and a very lovely weave, this one. It's another one of those that has a slight brushed softness to the surface. And I think that really, you know, it really helps with a heavier weight denim, because without that, you know, sometimes I think lesser quality denims can often feel like very stiff and very rigid. And, you know, that's not often something that you want to wear, that's going to make for, you know, a comfortable garment that you're going to want to pull for again and again. Whereas this, you know, you have the weight of the fabric, which makes it, you know, really suitable for jackets, coats, you know, denim jeans, dungarees, pinafores, all that sort of thing. And it's going to feel like a proper pair of denim jeans, but it still has that lovely softness to it, and it's just going to be lovely to wear. So now we're on to the last of our stretch denims, and this one is our Minerva Core range 300 GSM stretch washed denim. Now you'll have noticed with all the stretch denims so far, they've all had some element of polyester in there, and that is quite common with stretch denims. And I think the reason for that is often if you're looking for a stretch denim, often you don't want a very rigid, stiff denim. You're looking for something with a bit more softness, movement, comfort, and the polyester content does add that. This one, however, is actually made from 97% cotton and 3% elastane. So, you know, apart from the tiny amount of elastane content, this is pure cotton, this one. So this is different. It comes in 3 colours, different shades of blue. It's 150 centimetres or 59 inches wide approximately. 300 GSM, which grams per square metre, which puts it still in our medium to heavyweight category, but you know, we're looking at the heavier end of that category now. And it has 10% stretch on the width and 0% down the length. So with this one, the difference with this one, like I say, it's it's obviously heavier than the last fabric we looked at, but it's all cotton apart from that tiny bit of elastane content. However, it has had the washed treatment, so it is still lovely and soft. And for a weight of fabric like that, for it to have that kind of softness, it's a beautiful quality denim. It's really, really lovely. Yeah, I think it's, if you want a heavier denim, but you want something with, something that's going to feel like a proper typical pair of, denim jeans or a denim jacket or whatever, but you want something that's, not too stiff and rigid, it's got a nice softness to it. You want it to be as natural, mostly natural fibres apart from the elastane content. And you still want, that soft feel with the stretch with it. This could be the perfect option for you. It's another one of those that's very intense in colour on the front. And again, you can see what a contrast that has. Yeah, a really, really lovely, versatile, heavier weight denim, that one. So that's all the fabrics I had to share with you. So I hope you found that deep dive into them interesting, and hopefully that'll really kind of help you when choosing denim for your next project. Or maybe you've got denim in your stash and you're not sure what you could use to make it with, then hopefully this video will be helpful in that respect. So next, let's take a look at some patterns. So I've got a big stack of patterns to share with you for denim. There's just so many things you can make from denim, and I really wanted to include like a good spread of patterns so that you can get lots of ideas, but also as well, in the same sort of style of garment, how different pattern styles can be suitable for the different weights. So as I go through these patterns, obviously I'll be giving you the specific patterns for inspiration, but I'm also going to talk about what kind of weight denim I would sew it in. So we've got stretch and non-stretch, and then we've also got light to medium weight, medium to heavy, and the heavyweight. So yeah, let's have a look through them. So we'll insert some images as we go through so that you can see the patterns as I'm chatting about them. So the first two patterns I've got are actually the only two patterns out of all these that I've picked out that specifically require a stretch denim. So and they're both fitted pairs of jeans, which makes sense because for the first one, for example, for a skinny jean, for it to have such a close skinny fit, there needs to be some stretch in the fabric just to allow for movement while you're actually wearing them and to get them on and off easily as well. So the first pattern is the Ginger Skinny Jeans from Closet Core Patterns. So this particular pattern contains two views. So you've got a lower rise with a narrow stovepipe leg, or you've got a higher waist with skinny legs, and it actually includes what they describe as a tummy slimming pocket stay. So yeah, two different views, but both more skinny fit jeans. And yeah, you would definitely want a stretch denim with those, and I would be looking personally at a medium to heavyweight stretch denim, unless you particularly wanted a more summery lightweight pair, and then you could look at those medium weight denims. The next one the second one that requires a stretch denim, this is the Cashmerette Amos jeans. Now these are designed for women with curves, so specifically they describe an apple or a pear fit. So if you have that kind of shape, then this could be a really good pattern for you to achieve a good fit more easily. So with this particular pattern, again, you've got two different views. So you've got a more skinny leg fit and then a straight leg fit, but both of them require a stretch denim because of the fitted nature of the garment. And again, I would be going for the medium to heavyweight stretch denims, or if you particularly want a more summery lightweight pair, then the medium ones. Now the next jean pattern I've got, so this is the Morgan jeans from Closet Core again, and this one doesn't require a stretch denim. So one thing I wanted to mention in this video is, you can absolutely use stretch denim for non-stretch denim patterns. There's just a couple of things to take into account and consider. So personally for me, like if I was making a pair of jeans, whatever jean pattern I went for, I would be choosing a stretch denim, just because I just prefer stretching my jeans. I find them much more comfortable, and I guess I'm just kind of used to it now, so I want that comfort there. However, if you chose a pattern that doesn't require a stretch denim, then obviously, you know, the drafting on it has been done to allow for a non-stretch denim. So there will be a little bit more give or ease in the pattern than what there would be in a pattern that's designed for a stretch woven. So what I would always do is make a toile first. You know, if you are going to sew it in a stretch denim instead, I would always make a toile first in a stretch, you know, a similar stretch fabric, and kind of just assess the fit as you go. And bear in mind that with a stretch denim, you know, as you know, when you first put them on in the morning, they're going to feel more fitted than they will do later on in the day. Like you might have noticed this with ready to wear stretch jeans. You know, as you wear them during the day, they just become a little bit more a little bit bigger, I guess. You know, we're not talking like it's going up sizes bigger, but they'll just become a little bit more ease in the garment. So you want to make sure that, you know, when you make them to fit you, that they're not too oversized. So a toile can help with that. But, you know, I do think with jeans especially, it is very much personal preference. You know, what one person will want a very super tight fitted you know, jean with not much, you know, not much stretch and movement in there, whereas the next person will want a looser fit with more stretch and comfort. And, you know, there's no right and wrong, it's just personal preference. So just try to take that into account, you know, when you choose, you know, the pattern and the fabric pairing. But yeah, for this pattern, if you're sticking to these, you know, to what the pattern actually recommends, I'd be looking at medium to heavyweight denims or medium weight ones if you know, you want a lighter summery pair. But if you'd be like me and no, I definitely want the stretch, again the same sort of weight, but you just probably want to toile it first and just yeah, take into account that extra ease and movement that you will get from the stretch in the fabric. Another trouser pattern I've got is Burda 6573, and this is a very high-waisted, almost like sailor trousers kind of vibe, and they've actually made one on the envelope out of a denim that just looks fabulous with those big buttons up the waist detail. Yeah, I think that's a really super pattern, just something a little bit different. Again, I'd be looking at medium to heavyweight denims, and, you know, medium weight if you particularly want a summery version. The next trouser pattern I've got, so this is a very different shape and style and a very, very popular pattern here at Minerva, and it's the bob pants from Style Art Patterns. So these are a barrel shape trouser leg pattern. They have an elasticated waist, inseam pockets, and it's all about that barrel leg shape, which is very on trend at the moment, isn't it? So with this one, because it's got an elastic waist, I don't think you want anything too stiff and heavy, because drawing that in at the elastic waist, you know, if it's too heavy, it's going to feel very bulky and it probably wouldn't sit very well. So with these, I would be looking at either medium weight denims or the medium to heavyweight ones, but perhaps towards the lighter weight end. And then I think those, you know, it's heavy enough to hold the shape of the barrel leg, but it's not so heavy that it's not going to draw in nicely at that elastic waistband. I do think like the light to medium weight denims, you know, they personally I would say they are too light for this. You'd want medium weight or the lower end of medium to heavyweight. The next pattern I've got, so this is the last trouser pattern now. This is the Rambler pants, a menswear pattern from the Friday Pattern Company. And these are a pull-on pants that have an elastic waistband with a built-in belt. And the interesting things with this pant is that they're designed to be loose without being baggy. So, you know, you literally kind of pull them on, and, you know, it's the elastic waist that kind of gives you the give to get them on, you know, on and off. So again, with this one, I don't think you want anything too heavy. But at the same time, you know, they are, you know, you still want a little, you know, enough weight there. So I, again, will be looking at the heavier end of medium weight denims or the lighter weight end of medium to heavyweight denims. And again, you know, it doesn't require a fabric with stretch, but again, you know, there's nothing to stop you using one, I don't think, for that. The next pattern I've got is the Wardrobe by Me menswear cargo shorts. So this has so many like juicy details on this pattern. You've got a zippy fly, front pockets, back welt pockets, 6 belt loops, a back reinforcement, which I think is very interesting, and then large cargo pockets on the sides of the legs. So loads of lovely details on there. And to me, this sort of shorts pattern is something that will probably get lots of wear. You know, you might wear it on a camping trip, or you know, sort of every day in the summer, and I think you would probably want a fabric that could withstand wear and tear, you know, especially with the pattern having this back reinforcement panel. You know, it's a pattern that's designed to get lots of wear and be a practical, durable sort of piece in your wardrobe. So for me, you would want something heavier for that. So I'd definitely be looking at the medium to heavyweight fabric, and even maybe that very heavy denim if you wanted something super durable and heavy. I mean, I'd probably be tempted to stick to the medium to heavyweight ones. But yeah, to me, that would be the perfect weight for these. You could make them in something lighter, but I don't think they would have the same utility kind of feel to them. Next up, I've got a cord set, so 2 different patterns that together make a cord. So we've got the Albi shirt and the Albi the Albi pant and short pattern, both from Style Art Patterns. So the shirt is a very relaxed vibe shirt. So you've got a dropped armhole, a collar, button-up detail, a wide hem facing, and then you've got elbow length sleeves, which I think very much adds to the relaxed casual vibe. And then you've also got a back yoke and 2 pleats as well. And then the trousers or shorts, they have an elastic waistband, optional inseam pockets, patch pockets on the back, and then a wide hemband at the bottom. So both very relaxed, both I kind of see as designed for loungewear or just, you know, everyday kind of casual comfort. So for me, for these, I would be looking at the light to medium weight denims. Possibly the medium weight denims if you wanted a heavier sort of feel, but to me, loungewear and comfort is all about softer, lighter fabrics that are very comfortable to wear, you know, almost a little bit like secret pyjamas. So to me, the light to medium weight ones would be perfect on those. And I think as well, due to that kind of oversized nature on those, to me, you just wouldn't really need to, you know, you wouldn't need to make them in a stretch denim. You know, just the non-stretch denims would be absolutely fine for those. They're still going to be really comfortable, but you want something lighter in weight. Next up, we're going on to top patterns. So I've got a men's shirt pattern, and this is the All States pattern from Merchant and Mills. But really, any kind of shirt pattern is fantastic for denim. So this one has lots of lovely details on it, and it's described as a short, boxy shirt inspired by the American style of the 50s. Lots of lovely details on there. And for a pattern like this, or pretty much any shirt pattern really, again, I would be going for the light to medium weight denims, or the lower weight end of the medium weight category. And that's going to give you, you know, a very kind of shirt kind of feel, not a jacket. The next one I've got, so it's actually 2 patterns. They're the same style. One is designed for women's or adult sizes, and one's designed for children's sizes. And this is the cuff top from the assembly line, or the cuff top mini as the children's one is described. So this is a very simple top with a round neck, back wing sleeves, some darts for shaping. And really the main feature of this is this gorgeous elastic detail that comes in at the bottom of the short sleeve. So it gathers all the fabric in and kind of creates a very cool, you know, statement gather detail, almost like a cuff really at the bottom of the sleeve. So this one, absolutely, I would be looking at the light to medium weight denims, because you're drawing all that fabric into that elasticated cuff. If you went for something heavy, you know, it wouldn't draw in very nicely, and it would just feel too big and bulky, I think, as a top. So the light to medium weight denims are perfect. You could also use the lighter weight end of the medium weight denims, but that's going to give you a more structured feeling top that's going to hold its shape a little bit more. And my personal choice will be the light to medium ones and keep it nice and soft. Next we're going on to jacket patterns. So the first one I've got is the Mimi G style for simplicity, number 8845, and this is your classic denim jacket pattern. This we actually did some kits in, which are still available at Minerva. We run a kits all the time, and we chose for this one of our stretch denims, which the pattern doesn't require a stretch denim, but we chose that because it's a lovely weight for us. The one I showed you earlier that I showed you in red. Yeah, and it's just, it's a lovely weight for a denim jacket, and that extra bit of stretch, just gives it a little bit more comfort as you're wearing the jacket. It's a unisex pattern and has loads of gorgeous details, so lots of top stitching opportunities, breast pockets, button up, shirt style collar, cuffs on the edge of the sleeves. Yeah, just your classic denim jacket. And yeah, for this one, so I'd personally be looking in the medium to heavyweight category. I don't think you wouldn't want the super very heavyweight denim for a jacket like this. But also I don't think, you wouldn't really want anything too lightweight either for it to feel like a proper jacket. Next up, we've got the painter jacket from Merchant & Mills, and this is what they describe as a classic field jacket. So with this one, you want a denim with enough weight, but it does actually mention on the back of the packet that at certain parts where you're sewing on the pocket details, you're actually going to be sewing through 9 layers of fabric. So, I wouldn't go for the very heavy denim at all. And I would probably, so I would be looking at the medium to heavyweight denims, but maybe the lighter weight end of those, just because of the amount of layers you've got in some of those pockets. Yeah, and and that would still be heavy enough for it to feel like a proper jacket. Next up, we've got one of our Minerva exclusive patterns, so our own range of patterns, and this is the Tracy jacket. So this is a fabulous button-up or snap fastening jacket with a shirt style collar, patch pockets on the front, cuff details, and then it has a rounded hemline that's a little bit longer at the front than the back than the front. Just a really lovely classic utility workwear kind of vibe jacket pattern, and it looks absolutely gorgeous made in denim, and there's lots of opportunities for top stitching as well if you wish to. So with this, I would be looking at one of the medium to heavyweight denims for a classic jacket kind of feel. But you can also make this pattern in lighter weight denims as well. If you went as far as making it from the light to medium weight denims or the lighter weight medium weight ones, it's just going to feel more like a shirt or a very light jacket. But you can absolutely do that with this pattern, and it just makes the pattern even more versatile. And then the next jacket I've got, or the last jacket I've got, is the Ilford jacket by the Friday Pattern Company. So this is, it's a very kind of simple style jacket really. It comes with 2 different versions. So you've got a version that comes with a placketed sleeve with a cuff, and then another version that has a much easier to sew boxy sleeve for a more relaxed kind of vibe. You've got all different options for patch pockets, and you've also got different length options as well. So yeah, with this one, this is another one like our Tracy jacket, where if you made it in a medium to heavyweight denim, that would be instantly where my mind would go, and it would make a proper jacket as it's kind of intended from the pattern. But if you made it in a much lighter denim, the light to medium or the medium weight ones, it's going to have more of a shirt feel, which I have seen lots of people make this in a lighter weight fabric, and it absolutely works as well. It just gives a different feel. So next lot of patterns I've got. So next up I've got a waistcoat to show you. So this is Butterick 6901. It does actually have shorts and trousers on this pattern as well, but to me the style of those is probably a little bit too formal for a denim, in my opinion. There's nothing to stop you using it, but it's more the waistcoat I was looking at on this pattern. So it's a very kind of simple classic V-neck waistcoat or vest, button up, with sort of like a pointy detail at the hemline. A very, very popular pattern, this one at Minerva. So with this one, I don't think you want anything too heavy, but you don't want anything too light either. So I would be looking at the medium weight denims, or the lower end weight wise of the medium to heavyweight denims, and that will just give you enough structure, body and weight without being too heavy for a waistcoat. And then next up I've got an overalls pattern. So these are the Riley overalls from True Bias, a very kind of classic overall pattern where you've got a shorts option or a full length trouser option. And for me, to me, overalls suit a heavier denim because you want that utilitarian workwear kind of vibe to them. And then if you go for a denim that's too lightweight, it's going to look much softer and it's not going to have that look. It's not to, you know, say you couldn't make it in a lighter denim if that's what you particularly wanted, but to achieve the kind of look like what you'll get, you know, what you can see on the pattern there, and just what you typically think of for overalls, yeah, I would be looking at the medium to heavyweight denim on those. Next up, we've got the Blanca flight suits from Closet Core Patterns. So this is a real, again, another sort of utilitarian looking worker style kind of vibe flight suit or jumpsuit. And there's so many lovely details on this pattern. It is definitely, you know, a more difficult pattern that's just going to take longer to sew. But, you know, it's a fabulous garment when you get to the end. So it has different sleeve and leg options. It has a centre front zip, patch pockets that double as belt loops, an optional tie belt or a buckle belt, a traditional shirt collar, and a unique pleated back design. You've got long sleeve or short sleeve options, or a tapered sleeve with a snap button or a short sleeve. The leg is a straight cut on it, but you have the option to crop it or taper it at the hem if you wish to. So, you know, so many options on that one pattern. But all of the options, I think, suit a heavier denim. Again, similarly to the overalls, I think for a flight suit, you know, you want that kind of utility workwear kind of vibe, and that comes from a heavier weight fabric. So again, I'd be looking at the medium to heavyweight denims. There'd be nothing to stop you making it in a more medium weight denim if you want something softer and lighter, but that would be more personal choice. I think to achieve the look of you know, what you typically get with a style like this, the medium to heavyweight denim would be ideal. Next up, I've got a skirt pattern. So this is the Tommy skirt from Style Art Patterns, and this is a gorgeous midi length, quite traditional sort of very denim looking skirt with, you know, the zip fly, the patch pockets, all the top stitch details. I think it's got, yeah, the 5 pocket construction, the belt loops, all those juicy details, and it's also got this lovely front split up the centre front as well, which just gives it a very modern kind of look. For me, for this sort of style, because it's quite, you know, quite long and quite straight, you want something with a little bit of weight to hold the shape of that skirt. If you went, for example, for a light to medium weight denim, it's going to be very soft and a little bit floppy, and I don't think it'd give the, you know, that kind of look and kind of structure that you'd want for a style like this. So again, for me, I'd be looking at medium to heavyweight denims, or, you know, perhaps the medium weight denims if you particularly want a lighter weight skirt. But for me personally, it would be the medium to heavyweights I'd be looking at for that. And then lastly, well, next up rather, I've got a bag pattern. I did want to throw a bag pattern in there because yeah, I think denim is such a fantastic fabric for bag making, and the practicality and durability of denim, you know, it just really suits denim. And we did actually run some kits in this pattern that I've got to show you as well, that one of the fabrics included was denim. We actually coordinated them with some faux leather as well, and those kits are still, you know, we run them all the time. They're available on the site now if you're interested, but the denim worked really well for it. So this is the range backpack from Noodlehead, but really whatever style, you know, bag you're into that you like to use, you know, we have so many patterns on Minerva of different style bags, and denim, you know, I think would be suitable for practically all of them. I think weight-wise for bag making, again, I'd personally be looking at the medium to heavyweight denims, just because, you know, they're nice and weighty enough for a bag, nice and durable, the ideal sort of yeah, weight for a bag really. And then the last sort of group of patterns I've got, so we're nearly at the end now, are dresses. So the first one I've got is McCall's 8553. Now this was the one that I mentioned earlier that I said we'd done some kits in, and we actually chose our the 280 GSM stretch denim that we looked at earlier in the red colourway. And yeah, so we thought that was the perfect denim for this particular dress. To me, for this style, you know, it's got that zip up detail at the front, the collar, and then, you know, the gathered skirt with pockets and different sleeve options. So to me, for this sort of style, you want a denim with a reasonable amount of weight. You could make it in a lighter denim, but it's going to have a different feel. And I think, you know, if you put in a metal zip in, especially, you want a denim that, you know, has enough weight to sort of to look right with that kind of, you know, metal, more chunky hardware. The other thing to take into account though is you don't want a denim that's too rigid for this dress because of that gathering detail at the skirt. You know, if you go for anything too rigid, it's not going to gather in particularly nicely. So yeah, so that one we thought was a really lovely option because it's not lovely and soft, so it gathered in well, but it still has good weight in it, you know, it's in the medium to heavyweight category. So yeah, I'd be looking at medium to heavyweight ones for this, but just making sure they've enough softness to gather in nicely on that skirt. The next dress we've got is the June sheath dress from Style Art Patterns. Now this is an example of a completely different style of dress, which I think would actually suit a rigid denim. So this, you know, it's a very, very simple sheath dress. It's got darts for shaping, a simple round neckline, a button fastening at the back, and some inseam pockets. And you know, that's pretty much it. It's a really simple dress. So you could make it in a softer denim, but actually a more rigid denim in this case would really hold the shape of that dress nicely. You know, it would stand proud, you know, against your skin and not sort of hang and flop and drape. So, you know, either would be fine, but I thought it was a good example of actually where a rigid denim can be very nice for a dress. Weight-wise, you've actually got quite a lot of variety on this you could use. You could use anything as light as a light to medium weight denim, and obviously that's going to give a very light, very summery feeling dress. And you could go right the way through to a medium to heavyweight denim, and it's going to give, you know, a much more, you know, a heavier, more structured kind of feel to the dress that maybe could be something you would wear, you know, over a turtleneck jumper with tights and boots to carry you through the winter. So yeah, I think your fabric choice on that one can really sort of change the feel of the dress. But both are lovely in, you know, in their own way. Next up, we've got the Eva dress from Tessuti Patterns, and this is a simple round neck dress that has a short sleeve or a sleeveless option, and then it has this beautiful panelling detail on the skirt. So it's quite simple again, almost like a cocoon style shape, and yeah, that panelling detail in the seam lines is very lovely. And this one, you know, I see this really as a summery dress. So for me, you would want a light to medium weight denim on this one. Even the medium weight denims, I think for me would probably feel a little bit too heavy in this. It's not to say you couldn't use a medium weight denim, but it would give it a much more structured, heavy feel. To me, the light to medium weight ones are going to be more soft and breezy and give it that sort of holiday sundress kind of feel that I think this pattern has. So yeah, the light to medium weight will be my choice on that one. And then the last pattern I've got, so this is a classic shirt dress, Simplicity 8014. And it has loads of different views in this pattern. So you've got different collar options, patch pocket options, different sleeve options and different length options. And then in the skirt part itself, you've either got a much straighter, almost like an A-line skirt sort of section, or you've got one that's much fuller. That, you know, sort of it's more fitted at the waist and then flares out in the skirt. So whatever style of shirt dress you want, you'll probably find it in this one pattern. And this I thought was another good example of, you know, you could make this in a light to medium weight denim, and it's going to give you a very light, breezy feeling, summery shirt dress. Likewise, you could make it in a medium weight denim, or even a medium to heavyweight denim, and it's just going to give it a different feel. It's going to feel heavier and more something that you would wear, you know, perhaps through the transitioning seasons, or maybe not at the height of summer, shall we say. So yeah, again, that's another one that your fabric, you've got lots of options with the fabric, but it's just going to change the feel of the dress slightly depending on what weight you choose. So that's all the patterns I had to share with you. So I hope you found that interesting and inspiring, and hopefully it's give you, you know, lots of ideas on the things that you can sew with denim. And also as well, just hopefully it's kind of helped demystify weights with denim, and you know what kind of weight you want to look for different styles of patterns. So yeah, I really hope that was helpful, interesting and inspiring for you. So just to mention, you know, as always with these videos, everything that I've tagged to all the products I've talked about, we will tag below on the video on Minerva. So we'll tag the fabric guide, all the fabrics and all the patterns. So you can click on any of those and then you'll be able to see, you know, the pricing details, what different colours the fabric comes in, all the information about the fabric. We also have close-up videos and extra photos, and as well, of course, the wonderful thing with the Minerva website is you can see what other people in the Minerva community have been making with these patterns and fabrics, and that's, you know, even more inspiration for you there. So yeah, we'll tag all that below so you can easily find, you know, all the information on these products. And just to mention as well, at Minerva, we do offer super fast, free, worldwide delivery. So wherever you're watching us from, you know, we can send parcels of sewing and fabric joy out to you. That's no problem at all. And we do offer a sample service on any of the fabrics as well. So, you know, maybe there's a couple that you're thinking, oh, I don't know which I'd like best. I'd like to see them both first and choose my favourite. You could do that. You know, if you just want to see them in the flesh beforehand, that's no problem at all. We do offer all of our fabrics in increments as well, so you don't need to buy a full metre or yard. You know, you can just buy the amount that you need, so there's no wastage there. And we do offer a thread matching service on all our fabrics as well, so we can match the best colour of thread to the fabric for you. So I think that's everything I wanted to show you today. I know it's probably going to have been a long video today. I knew the denim one was going to be a long one because there was so much to chat about, but I hope you enjoyed watching it and it's been inspiring and, you know, helpful for you in your sewing journey. Don't forget to watch Jo's video that's coming to the channel later today, where Jo's going to be talking all about how to sew with denim, with loads of hints and tips as Jo's videos always contain. And you know, there's always something new to learn with sewing, isn't there? So yeah, do check out that video that's coming later today. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed that. Do let me know in the comments, have you sewn with denim before? Is it something that's on your to sew list? Is it one of your favourite fabrics? You know, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And yeah, thanks again for watching, and I'll be back again soon with the next base cloth from the Minerva Fabric Guide.